the Velociraptor seems to be typing on the keyboard, while the other two ponder the universe. But the lighting on this is great. I don't know what map you did this on, Arcane, but it's awesome. Tabby the Game sent us this shot of her awesome ship, and she actually did a reflection of her ship in the rings of the planet that she's skimming over, which looks really cool.
That looks great.
Yeah, thanks. Mobius had apparently just got started in taking like good starship pictures in our game, and holy crap, what a start! This is amazing. It said it was a he's designing it to look like a history book. So I really, yeah, got that down. Mar Hawkman sent us this cat looks very upset and probably is plotting our demise. We just added an item
Oh, wow.
over the Halloween event where players could turn into cats. So
Is that cat wearing a little tie?
I think
Or is it
he's
just a
got a
white
little like white fur there.
colorization? Okay.
Yeah. And then he also sent us. I'm not sure what. This is. I think this character just posing in front of the gingerbread house, but that looks cool. And okay, we got a few more. I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce this, so I'm just going to spell it. M1AGG10N3 sent us this shot, which is actually a promo for the TV show that he's making inside Star Trek Online. So you can find that on YouTube if you look up Star Trek Online Adriatic. It looks pretty cool. And Jeff MW sent us this shot of the USS Excalibur returning home for the holidays. Jeff sends us a shot of his ship, the Excalibur, about once a week, just doing different things around the galaxy, chilling, having a good time. Oh, okay, it's a crystal dangling from the collar, not a white tuft of fur.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, because it looked slightly different. It didn't quite look like fur.
Yeah. ID Gaming Federation has sent us this shot going, freeze, put your hands up. Wait, because, the snowmen, they're already frozen. And finally, Daniel Saylor sent us this shot. It's another cat shot. He's done the Klingon ice fishing event while a cat, so the cat is now holding a fish that's bigger than it is. Very good day for the cat. All right. So let's talk a little bit about you, Jason. So you've been doing voice acting, music for actually how long now?
Well, I've been a voice actor for about professionally for about 20 years, I realized. And I've been
That's
a
awesome.
musician professional musician way a lot longer than that. Um, the first voice acting job I had was in the first Helsing anime,
Oh,
and
nice.
Taliesin Jaffe gave me that role.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was
What did
was
you
no, I was
play?
I basically played a bunch of vampires and zombies that were um, given life and then immediately killed. So it was a lot of like,
The life of a voice actor. Can you give
yeah.
me 15 deaths and
Oh gosh. Uh, there's always you get those auditions where they want you to read all these lines and then do all the emotes and all,
Oh
and one will be
geez.
like, make it sound like you're on fire, and it's like, really? Like you haven't even given me the part yet.
Yeah, for an audition,
I
I'm
have
not
to
gonna
throw
wreck
my
my
voice
voice for
out
that.
like I'm on fire.
Oh. So that, but you've been a musician for longer than that. So what got you your first start in music? What got you first interested in making music?
In music, I don't know. It was just always my thing. I've been performing in front of audiences since I was 5 years old. Um, so just was always a singer from the very beginning. I knew that's what I wanted to do and work in music, and so lifelong pursuit.
And so at some point, you hit puberty and your voice dropped into the basement. And you said, "Oh, I got to find a different style of singing now."
Right? Yeah, yeah.
Well, you make music for all kinds of games. You actually wrote the Klingon Metal song we did last year, 2 years ago. God, what is
That
time
was a
anymore?
thrill.
Yeah.
I Yeah, that was really cool because it was like write a song about Klingons in English, then the Klingon Society will translate it, then we'll bring in the actor that played Laurel to sing it
Yeah, I know. It was so
in
cool.
Klingon, and she was so awesome. She's a great singer. She had a lot of uh, maybe not. I don't know if maybe she did work on Broadway for a while, but she had a lot of on stage musical singing experience. So in the studio, she was very efficient. She was very critical of her performance and making sure that she got the pronunciation exactly right, which was really great because she had it better than I did. Obviously, she studied that being in Star Trek Discovery,
Yeah.
and that was really a really cool experience.
It was fun because when we first started talking to you, we were going to have you do a song for the previous update, which is going to be this like slow dirge about one of the Klingon demons, and then that didn't work out for timing reasons, and we were like, well, what if we just did a metal song? And then I
That's
saw
right.
Mary on Twitter singing something, like just singing to herself, and I was like, oh, she could sing. Oh, can we get her to sing this? And then we had a meeting with CBS. They're like, this song sounds awesome. What if you got Mary to sing it? And I was like, yes, bring it all together.
Oh, cool. So that song actually was approved by CBS.
Yeah, yeah. They
Nice.
uh, they listened to the whole thing. They liked it. Um, didn't have many notes for us, so that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's always the best when you turn something in and they're like, no notes.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh God, so nice. uh, so yeah. But you've also been voice acting for STO for God, probably a decade now, right? A little bit.
Possibly. Yeah, quite
Yeah.
a few years.
We were talking before we got on the air here about the different characters you've played in the game. In addition to bringing us finally a voice for Q this year, which thank you very much for that. That's been sorely missing over the years of the winter event.
My honor. It was my honor. I auditioned for it a while ago because I was the voice of Q in the trailer
Yep.
for Winter Wonderland. I want to say 2 years ago, or was it a
Yeah.
year? Yeah.
Yeah, that was my baby 2 years ago. I really wanted to make a trailer for it, and so I wrote that whole thing and then made all the stuff in the cutscene editor. And then Michael Henry was like, "Oh, I'll get a sound alike for you." And then like 2 months later, he was like, "Oh yeah, that was Jason Charles Miller," and I was like, "What?" What's the process like of getting your voice into that John Delancey land?
Well, I'm not really an impressionist, right? So I would listen to John Delancey as Q and then just give the spirit of the character my best go.
Yeah.
So I'm not so much thinking about tones and pronunciation. I'm just thinking about how my brain comprehends how he would say it. So I would say that it's not exactly an impersonation
Yeah.
of John Delancey. It's just my take on the spirit of Q, which of course was originated by John Delancey, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, totally. That's a good way to approach it, I think, because if you're just trying to sound like him, was when I did the scratch track, I just tried to sound like him, and it ended up just sounding weird. And I think approaching it as, well, I'm just gonna do this character and approach it from like, what does this character, think and feel and act? I think is a better way to go about it, because then you can put your own spin on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like how uh every Joker after Mark Hamill sounds wildly different than Mark Hamill because you have to. Well, that's cool. So you did the trailer for us a couple years ago, and then how did the process of getting into the game this year go?
Very. I mean, it was. I guess because they liked what I did on the trailer, they just called me up and said, "We've got some Q lines for. We're finally putting. We're voicing him in the Winter Wonderland event." And I was like, "Cool. Let's go for it."
That's awesome. Yeah, the dialogue has been there. I think the Winter Wonderland is like a year into the game that it first debuted when we weren't voicing things at all. So Q just has mountains and mountains of text that weren't voiced. So I'm sure that was a bit of a marathon session.
It was, in fact, like we were going over some of the other characters I've been. I'm the voice of the Klingon computer in the tutorial.
Yep.
I'm also some various characters like a intelligence officer on the Klingon side named Kamen, and what we found a bounty hunter that I was,
Yeah.
and um, a smuggler or something. What was one of the
Yeah,
other ones?
you played a lot of characters with apostrophes in their names, it turns out.
Yeah. Um, but I was joking with the director and the producer. I said, "This is the most lines I've ever done for you guys. A lot of lines."
So much because you have to
Yeah.
explain the whole event. You've got all the stuff he does for the anniversary. You've got like it's a lot. Nadar was the bounty hunter, and then you were
Yep.
Stalha.
Caldano.
Oh, you were Caldano.
Hmm.
Cool. Yeah, it's got to be interesting working on a game like this that has been going on as long as it has, and just popping in to do a voice here or there for years, because I'm sure you have absolutely no clue what the hell is going on in any of your whatever your characters are talking about.
Well, I mean, I grew up a huge Star Trek fan, and although the original series was what I was exposed to, it had been off the air already. But when when Next Gen came out, I ate all of that up, and so that I like how STO I think kind of leans in that era, does it not?
Yeah,
To a
yeah,
certain point.
yeah. We sort of all, because that was what, when we started the game, that was what was there. It was the movies and Voyager, and then it had stopped except for Enterprise, and so that was kind of what we based everything on. And now we're starting to get a little more into our era and the future with like Picard and stuff. But
Very cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're approaching Q as like sort of thinking about the character and trying to make your voice sound like that. How do you approach a Klingon? What's the process for somebody like Kamen?
I think just uh, get deep, get angry, and put a little gravel in, and and really, uh, yeah, sort of change the pitch. And I remember because it's a tutorial, I joke about how yes, I'm the Klingon computer, but it's all like press X, then push left to pick up rifle. You know,
I am so angry that you're not following my exact instructions. Do it now.
yes. To run, hold trigger, or whatever. I know
Yeah.
those weren't the exact one,
I'm very excited for when we eventually figure out. Jason and I were talking about this before. Because you recorded, and this has been a personal quest of mine to get these actually in the game. But you recorded all the barks for the Klingon computer in space battles and things like that too. So like enemy shields down and things like that. And so I've been dealing with the soothing Federation voice for 6 years. I can't wait to be yelled at by my ship.
Nice. Yeah.
That's got to be a whole interesting, because everything in a Klingon ship is hostile. The insides want to kill you. The computer is mad at you. If you do something wrong, the captain will literally stab you. Just an interesting way to live your life.
Well, when I was writing the Klingon song, I just looked up famous Klingon phrases to what made me think, of how would it, what would a Klingon write if a Klingon was writing a metal song? You know?
Which is the only kind of songs they write.
Yeah, but I mean, it was so, it. I'm not saying it was easy, but I was just saying like there was a lot of material to grab from. That's for sure.
Yeah. Where did Steel and Flame come from? Like the title and the chorus.
I think it had to do with the uh character arc of Laurel. I
Yeah.
think there was something about Steel and Flame in like there was maybe a because it's been a couple years now. There was something with with the the timeline of what happened with Laurel.
Yeah, she was coming
Um,
back from Grethor, so she was coming from fire, and there was that whole. I don't know.
mhm.
Did we show you the cutscene where she arises wreathed in flame and grabs the sword? Because that might be it. But I just thought it was a
No,
wonderful coincidence that
yeah,
it fit.
maybe, yeah. And the Trexpert is right. We forgot to mention Klingon opera.
That's true.
Oh, and by the way, we should mention just as not as an aside, but as a major thing. Rest in peace to Kirstie Alley,
Yeah. Yeah,
who was in
absolutely.
in the Star Trek family for
Yeah.
sure. So
Yeah. Seriously, our
that
heart
was
goes
a
out to her
huge
family and
surprise.
everyone. Um, Bright light lost in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But I'm looking at what Captain Sevik said here about heavy metal Klingon opera, and now I'm thinking we just need to write an entire opera for STO, right? We can do that. You can just write, like a
yeah,
whole
I'll just
two
write.
act, 5 hour thing. We'll just put it in the game.
I'll write an opera, no problem.
You've done so
uh,
many genres over the years. Is opera one you've ever tackled?
yeah, actually, I took private opera training lessons for about 5 years, from high school into college, because the techniques that you can learn from opera and classical voice, you can apply that to almost anything.
Yeah.
So the techniques that I learned from my opera teachers, I still really apply today when I'm touring or recording or anything. And it's really been helpful to know when I'm pushing myself too far or if I'm about to hurt my voice. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know when they're hurting their voice. And I think I was sort of taught to look for the signs, and that really helps keep my voice healthy, even if I'm sick or exhausted, or overworked or something, which is like,
Yeah.
90% of the time.
Yeah. the hustle, the hustle drains us all. Yeah, it's always been interesting to me. I remember I watched the Metallica documentary a couple years ago, and James Hetfield was, doing vocal warm-ups and talking about how he'd, started trying to learn some of that stuff from like Broadway singers and opera singers, because otherwise you can't keep your voice going for decades and
Right.
decades.
Yeah. He really changed the way he sings. Like when he sings some of the older uh Metallica songs, like from Ride the Lightning and stuff like that, he'll
Yeah.
approach it a different way just to so that he can make it through the concert.
Yeah, that's gotta be rough. I mean, just putting that, like, I don't know how. And I mean, I know there's vocal techniques for it and stuff, but I don't know how heavy metal screamers get through a concert where they're just like the whole time.
Yeah. Well, there's a way you can do that. So I have a side project called Resodrome, which is really we're a duo, and we if you play the game Cyberpunk 2077, we have 3 songs in that game, and we just did the soundtrack to an art to a tabletop RPG called Gods of Metal Ragnarok,
Oh,
and
I
we made
remember
an
seeing that. Yeah.
yeah, we made an hour's worth of music for people to play while they're playing the role playing game. And but Jameson, my partner in that group, he can do the heavy metal voice all day long because there's a certain technique of doing it where you actually do it sort of quietly, and
Oh
then you're
yeah.
on the mic, so it sounds super loud. But if we were face to face, it's not very loud in person.
That's
So you've
cool.
got to be right up on the mic and doing it, and that's how those guys do it without hurting their voice.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I saw a TikTok yesterday where this female metal singer was showing us her technique, and it was a lot of like then you hung out like this and then scream from like this area, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, well, do you want to dive into the game a little bit and take a look at some of your Q stuff?
Yeah, I would love to.
All right, let's head on over there. I'm already logged in. So unfortunately, for some reason I can't share my screen. So Jason is
Yeah, I'm going to
gonna be
be like
watching with you
5 seconds
guys.
behind everybody.
But
So
we
you'll hear my
are.
reaction to something that you've already seen.
But right now we're doing Klingon ice fishing, which is actually one of my favorite events. Klingons fish, it turns out, by punching the ice really hard until they get a fish. And so once you've collected enough gummy fish and throw them into the pile over there, this giant gummy Klingon worm called a Koskari pops up and tries to kill you. You have to beat him down and then go get more fish.
I remember describing that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
uh,
Oh my god, that scene. So I made all the scenes for the trailer in the cutscene editor, and I'm basically learning how to use our cutscene editor on the job, and figuring out how to get the Koskari to pop out of the ice and look correct, and also to knock the main character backwards at the same time was just like that was like a week. Everything else was easy after that. So in the Winter Wonderland, everybody has weapons that only work in the Winter Wonderland. So like this year we added the Red Riker BB gun, uh,
Okay.
which won't shoot your eye out
Well, get your
probably.
eye out.
Mementh wants to know, Jason, if you were Q IRL, who would you be focused on annoying the most? Who would be your
Ooh,
Picard?
oh, that's a tough one. I mean, because here's the thing: Q liked Picard, right?
Exactly.
Ultimately, so who would I be? Who would probably one of my friends.
Yeah,
I would bug them all the time, and
you got to troll the people you like by
right,
throwing them
yeah,
into a trial to defend humanity.
just a small thing like that. Although
Yeah.
I suppose Q didn't like Picard right away, right?
Yeah,
So,
he sort of learned to love him. Kind of like the rest of us, honestly.
I liked him right away. Actually,
Oh yeah?
I was in the minority. The social media didn't exist back then, I guess, so I
Yeah.
couldn't have
Thank
someone.
thank God, because Will Wheaton would have the people would have traumatized him if social media had existed back then.
Yeah, yeah. We worked together. He's a great guy. We worked together on Avatar: The Last Airbender together.
Oh,
We
nice.
were in the same episode. I was in 6 episodes of that show.
Who were you in
And
Avatar?
so I once again, I kind of joke. Oh, you'll like this. I joke all the time because if you go to my IMDb page, I have over 150 acting credits.
Oh my God.
But I joke that I am the Clint Howard of voice acting, meaning I'm kind of in most things, but I'm always the guest star, or I'm in a couple of episodes, or
The
I'm
guy
like
who dies.
the villain for one episode. And so, Clint Howard, if you guys know, was in the original Star Trek, but he's Ron Howard's brother,
Yeah.
and he's a character actor, and he's just in a ton of stuff. You know his face, you've seen him in a million things. But anyway, in Avatar: The Last Airbender, I was in 6 episodes, and I was 6 different characters. I was a different character in each episode, except for in season 2 in the Earthbender kingdom. I was the guy. I do have one iconic line that everyone quotes all the time, which is, "There is no war in Ba Sing Se."
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm the "There is no war in Ba Sing Se" guy.
That's amazing. That's gotta be. It's gotta be like cool to sort of walk around knowing you've done all these iconic things and had all these amazing parts, and just having them all like piled up in your brain like that.
It's pretty. Look, as a somebody that works in the entertainment business, and we're always jumping from job to job, and we're always kind of auditioning for the next thing. I auditioned for a couple of things this morning, and I've got some auditions that are due later, that are due tomorrow, that I do later tonight. Um, you hardly ever have a chance to sit back and think about it. Sometimes when I'm a guest at a convention, then I think about it then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't I don't think about it too much until I'm like talking with my convention agent, and we're putting together my
Poster.
collage of all my
Yeah.
characters. And I was like, dang, I've been a lot of characters. I was even the voice of Optimus Prime in a game, World of Warships, when they brought in the Transformers.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What does your Optimus
So,
Prime sound like?
uh, Michael, like us, there's more to you than meets the eye.
That's really good,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, I always marvel when I'm going at a convention and I see, because you get the like TV celebrities, or like, and their posters will have like one or two or three or four major characters on it, and then you see the voice actors and it's just like this friggin' entire poster crammed with every possible character you could ever think of. It's
Yeah.
really cool. Is it because you mentioned how how much you're working? You're auditioning this morning. You're doing streams today. You're gonna do the thing tonight. Um, is it like is these just constantly moving from one thing to the next thing? And do you have a lot of time to like prep and think about the stuff you're doing before you get to the next one, or is it just kind of okay? Now I'm a clown and go.
There's a lot of that. A lot of times we're not given the script ahead of time because, especially when working in games, or a high profile show like, um, Avatar, or, I was in 4 episodes. I actually got to be I got to have a character arc in Attack on Titan, which is
Oh,
kind
hell
of
yeah.
fun. I was a character named Gelger in season 2 of Attack on Titan, where, spoiler alert, in my 4th episode, I get eaten by a Titan. But that's not really a spoiler alert if you watch that show,
Yeah,
because everyone
everyone
gets eaten
gets
by a
eaten
Titan.
by a titan.
Yeah. um, but yeah, a lot of times we're not given a ton of prep, other than they play us our audition back at the session so that we know where we went with the spirit of the voice. But they won't send us lines ahead of time or anything like that because it's so protective.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, Video games are a highly secretive. When it's not out yet, they're very highly
Yeah.
secretive about that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about that when we were planning this live stream. We were supposed to do it last week, and then I got sick, and then you were like, "Well, I think my queue is gonna be in game next week, so that might work better." And then I'm running around going,
Yeah,
"Okay, this is going live, right? Okay, great, we can talk about it."
so that's perfect.
Yeah. Oops, I forgot to teleport to the Crampiri. Okay. Oh, good, I still can. The Crampiri is a combination of Krampus and a Klingon demon who just runs around stealing children and yelling naughty naughty.
I wonder who voiced him.
Michael Henry, I am 100% positive. It sounds
Oh,
like
that's
him.
great.
Yeah, I've gotten
That's
to the
great.
point where I can fairly easily identify Michael's voice in the game, especially because I'm the writer for Champions, and Michael does 95% of the voices in that game, maybe 99. And so I've just heard him do so many different characters now that I'm like, that's Michael.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Um,
This is a could be a funny question. I think if we treat it as a funny question, John Pandorf wants to know: have you ever been told any voice acting techniques for saving your voice that turned out to be complete garbage?
oh, um, well, sometimes people will give they'll give advice about, when we're working on the mic, sometimes if our voice gets dry, if our throat gets dry, you'll start to hear clicking, and that's not good for recording, obviously. You don't want to hear a bunch of clicks in between people's lines. So I was told to try to eat an apple, take a bite of an apple, and then do your line, because the moisture from the apple. Well, I'm allergic to apples. I've only met maybe 2 other people that I know that are allergic to
My
apples.
friend Stephanie
So
is
that
allergic to
doesn't
apples and
really work
carrots.
for me. Yeah. So it's not so no one's ever given me a technique that like screwed anything up, but there have been techniques recommended to me that I couldn't do.
Uh, yeah, that's kind of one where you're like, well, can I eat an orange?
Yeah. Well, luckily I found Ricola cough drops do it for me. But it's got to be the original one. It can't be any of the flavored ones. It's got to be this one, the original Ricola in the yellow package.
Yeah,
No, no, no one else will do.
that and throat coat saved my life on a in a play once. I got
Throat coat tea is
oh
is
yeah,
very good.
I got wildly sick, and then it was like, well, no, there is no understudy, so go sing this part for 2 hours. So yeah, here we are, battling the Crampiri. See that little? I don't know if you can see that little sack that he's got on his back. It's actually a big wicker
Oh
basket.
yeah.
But he will occasionally jump at people and just stick them in their sack, and then they have to walk around with a big wicker basket on their head for a minute. I love the winter event just because it's an excuse to be goofy in Star Trek. So often we have to like take stuff seriously, and
Mm-hmm.
I
Hot
love.
caramel.
Yeah, exactly. We've got now that Lower Decks is in the world, we can hopefully loosen up a little bit.
Yeah. The expanded Trek universe, I think, hopefully gives us room to do that, right?
Yeah. Well, I think, a lot of these big franchises are becoming like originally it was like things were genres. If you were going to do Star Wars, you had to be doing space fantasy. If you're going to be doing Star Trek, you had to be doing like philosophical hard sci-fi. And I think they're slowly becoming settings rather uh, than genres, where you can tell interesting and different stories in those settings.
Mm-hmm. That's what I've heard about Andor too. That
Yeah,
Andor is really great, and it takes place in the Star Wars universe, but it's not super Star Warsy,
yeah. I
right?
mean, it feels Star Warsy, but it's definitely very different than say like the Mandalorian, which is good. In the same way, like Discovery is different from Picard, is different from Prodigy, is different from Lower Decks, etc., etc. It's nice to have a little variety.
Yeah.
Tabitha Games is requesting how a Klingon would sing the Ricola.
Now, see, I know better than that because if I did that, that would screw up my voice. But
uh,
actually, a Klingon might just go, Ricola,
yeah, there you go. That's perfect.
I will not sing.
Tez Holiday wants to know what was the last job you got super duper excited about? If you could talk about it, if it's out yet.
Uh, well, what was something cool that just recently happened to me was that, okay, well, there's two things. One, being asked to sing on the Final Fantasy 14 soundtrack,
Oh, that's awesome.
that really got me excited. And then continuously being asked back by the composer to the point where the last song that I sang, the composer said in an interview that he wrote the song with my voice in mind.
Oh my
How cool
god,
is that?
that's awesome.
Yeah. And he's a legend, Masayoshi Soken.
Oh geez, yeah.
And so that was probably a huge highlight. Voice acting wise, when so a couple weeks ago, 4 games that I was in all came out in the same week.
Oh my god.
And that was pretty neat.
What were the games?
So Bendy and the Dark Revival, which is the sequel to Bendy and the Ink Machine, which
Okay.
is like a horror game, super super cool. Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
cartoony horror, if I remember correctly. It like
yeah,
kind of looks like an old
exactly.
Disney cartoon. Yeah.
Crossed with BioShock almost. It's like if
Ooh,
you cross Disney and BioShock.
that sounds awesome.
Uh, then there's Tactics Ogre Reborn,
Oh, nice.
uh, Cobra Kai 2, Rise of the Dojos, and then Elder Scrolls Online, the latest expansion of Elder Scrolls Online, which is called Firesong.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that they've made not just one tie-in fighting game, but a series of tie-in fighting games from Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Who do you play in that?
I play a character named Bo. He's a boss that you have to fight. He owns the car mechanic shop.
So you have to go karate him.
Yeah, so you got to go to his shop and fight him.
That's awesome.
Hey kids, get out of here. It's that kind of thing. Um,
do
but
you
yes,
do,
Wenlock just wrote "Close in the Distance." That's the song that was kind of written with my voice in mind, which I was like
That's
blown
amazing.
away.
I'm gonna have to look that up later.
Yeah.
It's funny. I
Um,
actually just was thinking about it of the number of epic playlists I have on my Spotify that are just things I put together to send to Jason for inspiration for songs I'm having him write. If I had a nickel for every time I did that, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
It is. Well, it was funny because for this latest one, because I wrote a song for your for
For League
your
of
for your
Swords, yeah.
new show, League of Swords. Um, I, I listened to everything that you sent me, and then I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and then I when I write, I often don't mix my own material, meaning like I don't. So like I played everything, I programmed everything, I sang everything, but then I gave it to a friend to mix. I'm
Oh,
like, will you
cool.
mix this for me? Because I can't my brain gets lost in what I think I'm hearing. You know what I mean? So I'll just have him like EQ the drums, just EQ everything and make it sound good. So when I send it to him, I go, by the way, here's the playlist that was sent to me, and he was like, "This is everything." I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. But I just thought you'd enjoy this playlist. He's like, there's every type of song in the world. Now write me a song.
Yeah, I kind of had that feeling when I was putting it together. I was like,
Luckily, I got it right. So
yeah, it was just like, here's the feel I'm going for. Can you see what these have in common? Am I insane? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's funny.
But speaking of close in the distance, I'm going to Japan next week.
Sick.
We're doing a series for the Eorzean Symphony. It's a series of concerts. We're doing 4 concerts with the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra.
Oh, dude.
In this incredible theater in Tokyo, and I'm going to be singing my Final Fantasy 14 songs with the orchestra.
That's
part
gotta
of the show.
That's gotta be so cool. Like
I'm
having
so
an orchestra backup. Have you ever had that before? You ever sung with a whole orchestra?
No.
Oh man.
The last time I sang with an orchestra was like when I was in high school, like at some big event. You know what I mean? Like, but not like this. This is pretty awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's just I've done I've never done that. I've done those. I don't know if you go to those places that have the karaoke with a live band backup before, and just like the
like
feeling
karaoke.
of yeah, and just the feeling of like the wall of sound coming from behind you. I mean, with an orchestra, I imagine that's going to be like 40 times bigger.
Yeah. Luckily, we have 2 days of rehearsals, so whew.
Always good to get your chance to practice all that stuff.
Yeah. So that when we finally do the shows, I'll hopefully be used to it a little bit.
Yeah. For the league show we did on Sunday, we practiced the hell out of the fight, but like a lot of the logistics of the event, like when things were happening, and like I met the ring announcer on the day, so it was a lot of like, okay, we've got 5 minutes until people come in the room. Let's figure out what we're doing. Which sometimes is fun and sometimes works out. For those of us who haven't heard Q's new voice yet, can we go over there and listen to Jason's work? Absolutely. Let me run over there.
Now, what I should probably do, although, because obviously I've got it up, but it's muted. So should I?
I think
mute myself and then turn it up.
How can I? Maybe. Let me see. Let me try one more time sharing. This is gonna break everything if it works, but.
Okay.
Okay, can you see Star Trek Online?
All I see is MF. Wait, no, now I see it. I see it now.
All right. Oh, it didn't. Okay, it kind of broke our Teams window, so they can't see us right now, but that's fine. Let me make sure the audio's up, and let me make sure I'm sharing audio. Hold on, I might not be. So I have to click a specific thing to share with audio. Yes, include computer sound. Okay.
Yes, wanted. You are hearing a very loud dog snoring very loudly. Buddy, come on. No snoring.
Okay. Share. Include computer sound. There we go. Star Trek Online. Okay. And options. I think I've got the audio turned all the way down. I sure do.
Probably a good idea for a stream.
Yep, usually, because when we get into Space Battle, it's just pew, 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 pew.
Yeah.
Can you hear the pretty music?
No.
Okay. Good to know. Oh, well, yeah, it helps if I click on the right thing. Okay.
I hear something.
Okay, great. Let's get some Q on here.
Enjoying yourself?
Let's see. As fun as it always is to see you.
Ready to return home already? Have you been stuffed to the brim with holiday treats and raced until you can't skate another step? Oh, well, fine. Mortals have such annoying limitations. I could stay here for a century and never get tired. Or perhaps you would prefer to shift your perspective?
What do you think, Jason? Should we shift our perspective?
I think we should.
Do your worst, Q.
Now.
And now, we are Targ. So now we can just run around the map as a Targ. I wonder, did they have you voice Tiny Q too?
Q's friendly
Yep.
customer service can help you with all of your mail and storage needs instantly.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't pitch up your voice.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
We did that.
Well, hey, Nightwolf NWC, I'm glad that you, even though you haven't been on STO for over a year or two, you're back with us.
Q is a genius.
So,
Yeah, this Ferengi sits here and says like the same 3 or 4 lines. So if you're sitting here like buying items or stuff, you'll hear him looping. And yes, one of them is Q is a genius and so handsome. Let's see what else we can get from you.
Enjoying yourself?
What can I do
I'm in
here?
a sporting league, so I want to play some games. Talk to the race officials each day if you want to participate in the fastest race on ice. You'll race against an opponent of my choosing. And no cheating. If you win, you'll earn credit toward a fabulous special starship. If you want something with a little more challenge, there's the Fast and the Furious, which is another race where you can test
Right,
your
Fast and the
skills
Furious.
against
Yep.
other players. I'm giving
Who wrote
Winter
that?
ethical tasks to participate.
I am going to guess Ryan did. He's our
The
one of
Klingons
our
have an engaging
designers, and he
New Year
loves puns
tradition.
so much.
It's basically fishing, but in a very tough, warrior sort of way, of course. Why don't you go speak with the Klingon fishing master and give it a go? I hear the fish are biting, literally.
The Ferengi were probably made by Q? Bloodleaf? Where does that come from?
Or maybe that Ferengi was.
Oh,
Yeah.
watch out for
Oh,
Krampus,
that Ferengi,
or
yes,
my
of course.
version, the Krampiri. The Krampus of Earth likes to punish naughty children. Imagine what the Klingon version of such a glorious creature will do. P.S. You are definitely in the naughty children category as far as Krampiri and I are concerned. Very naughty indeed.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks
Great
for showing
job,
me
man.
that.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks.
Now, somebody in chat was asking if you're doing the anniversary stuff as well. I imagine they probably had you record all of that at the same time. Do you remember saying?
Yes.
Do you remember
I
saying
don't
anything
wanna-
about going to find? God, what kind of omega particles around the galaxy?
That sounds familiar. I don't
Yeah.
want to. I don't want to like get myself in trouble or anything. But,
But that makes sense. That they'd have you do that too.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was quite a few lines.
I mean, honestly, I imagine it would be like, well, how long were you recording?
A few hours, and just yeah. I think there was 9 full pages of dialogue with no one else's dialogue, just mine.
Just
so that's
yours.
quite a bit.
Oh my
yeah.
god, yeah. Yeah, it's always an interesting experience. I've been to a couple of those recording sessions for STO. I'm gonna stop sharing here so we can go back to normal. And it's the whole concept of performing a whole bunch of stuff while like none of the other actors you're playing with, none of the other characters, there's no details, it's just a giant sheet full of dialogue, and here you go. It's such an interesting challenge to face, I imagine.
Well, what you have to do is just it's a different skill set, because there's no one to play off of, and maybe there's what the other characters' lines might be, and maybe the director will read the lines to you, but most of the time you just have to imagine what's being said to you and then react accordingly. So it is its own skill set.
Yeah, it's always interesting to watch it going on. I was there when oh my god, my brain is blanking out on names in the last couple of months, and I hate it so much. But Martok, I forgot his real name, was recording, and it's just really fun to watch how, even though you're voice acting, your whole body and everything transforms with it, because you have to get those voices going right.
Oh yeah. For certain characters, I talk out of the side of my mouth. In Halo, I'm one of the 4 voices that you can choose in Halo
really?
Infinite.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so I'm, much like how I look, my character talks like this a lot. You know, we got a grav hammer right here. You know.
You sound kind of like you're about to say it's high noon, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. What's the craziest physical thing you've had to do to get a voice?
Nothing too crazy. But I tend to sort of act in the room, so I might accidentally hit a mic or something, or hit the wall. So I got to make sure that I, pull it down some so that I'm not either making wind noises next to the mic or hitting something I shouldn't be hitting.
Yeah, talking with your hands and a recording studio are not exactly the conducive to one another.
Right.
Yeah. Do you so you have your own? You actually have a couple recording studios, right? You've got one in your house, and then you've got your professional one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your setup like?
So I have a studio in North Hollywood, a studio complex called Central Command Studios, and we record games there. We record a lot of anime there. So we do, like Crunchyroll is one of our biggest clients. So did I lose you?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I just see the MF. I don't see you anymore.
Oh, weird.
But anyway, yeah. So we record a lot of anime in my studio, and then I put a studio in my house. Especially over the last couple years when so many things have moved remotely, that now I can, I don't have to compete with my own studio for my own studio time. So I do all of my creative stuff here and a lot of my remote stuff from here. And, but yeah, we use Pro Tools, and my main microphone here is a Neumann TLM 103, and then my main microphone at the studio is a Neumann U87.
Oh, cool. I realize I asked what your what your setup is, not knowing what any of that means. I know what Pro Tools is. I use that in film school.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we use an Avalon 737 SP processor.
Oh, cool, cool. Yeah, totally, man.
People are just turning off now from that. But somebody asked if the Autobot processor will be back.
I was going to pass that on.
Right, so who Processor is that's actually for Renegade Games. They put out the tabletop role-playing game version of Transformers.
Right, yeah, and they do all the Hasbro games.
So I was the game master for the very first official actual play of G.I. Joe, and then I was a player on the actual play for Transformers. And the name of the Autobot that I came up with was he's a giant recycling truck named Processor.
I love that. What did Processor sound like?
Yeah. What? Very, very much like, all right. I kind of like my guy from Halo, just talking out of the. Let's go, Autobots! Come on, let's get in there, And then he would cycle out. He would rattle off recycling facts, 30% of all food is wasted. If we could just,
That's amazing.
For the energy it takes to recycle one bottle, you could power your house for a night. So.
Oh, that's great. I love getting to do character voices for TTRPGs. Like, you don't have to do it. There's definitely not like a requirement, and I know like a lot of people, it's not the thing for them. But it helps me so much to get into character to do that kind of like just shifting my whole voice and my mannerisms and stuff.
Someone else asked, do you actually do your voice work from home studio? Yes, but what I will say this is, I have a very nice vocal booth here at the house. So it's made by LA. It's made by LA Vocal Booths. There's another company called Whisper Room that makes those. And once you're in there, you're in a super quiet, super non-reflective space. So it's just as conducive as a regular recording studio.
That's awesome.
But it's definitely a step up from like being in my closet or something. You know?
I remember. Do you have one of those? I remember hearing voice actors talk about like sometimes you get those hard lines installed in your house so that you can record like and upload directly. Is that even a thing anymore with the internet being as good as it is?
Yeah, you don't really need like T1 line, I think you were
Yeah,
talking about. You
yeah.
don't really need that anymore. We have a program called Source Connect, and that uses the internet. Now your speed needs to be decent, but you only really need they recommend you only need a 10 upload speed, which is totally achievable almost anywhere.
Oh
And
yeah.
and it the program Source Connect will sync the two computers up. It's actually quite remarkable.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's how I'm able to record anime from home too. So Freakazoid asked what was my most recent anime character, and that was a character named Chop in an anime called Tokyo's 24th.
Oh, cool.
And that came out not too long ago.
You know, something I've always wondered about anime recording. You get a lot of, in anime voice acting, you get a lot of. There's a specific cadence that people hit that's kind of the, what does the scanner say about his power level? Is that like,
Yeah.
do people get directed to do that because it's what you expect from anime, or is it just something people do because, oh, we're doing anime, we should do it?
Well, a lot of times what happens is we are given when anime comes to us, there's already a Japanese voice
Right.
actor on there. And we have to make sure that we're matching the lip flaps exactly, so that it's believable to the American and English audiences that we're our characters are saying what they're seeing on screen. So they play us the Japanese actor's performance first, and I think that subconsciously hearing the Japanese actor doing their performance first, I think like amps us in a certain direction. And that may be why some anime sounds like that.
Oh, that's cool. That's really interesting. I didn't know.
That's my
I
theory
knew you
anyway.
guys ADR or dubbed over and had to like match the mouth movements, but I didn't know you got to listen to the other performance first. That's
We're
interesting.
given that as an example because ultimately we're, more often than not, we're doing this for a Japanese company. So that company has to approve what we've done before they'll release it.
So they want it to sound like what they originally made as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
It
Is
is, and
there?
it is its own set of skills there too, which is different than when you're recording original animation. We all sit around in a room like it's a radio play, and
Oh,
we
that's
just
so cool.
we read the script, and then they animate to that, and then we might do ADR to fix something, but most of the
Yeah.
time it's just us sitting around in a room.
That's really cool. I love that. I love getting to see behind the scenes stuff on original animation and just seeing everybody getting to play together. Like it does look like a radio show or like a fun community theater kind of play, where people just get to kind of play their characters and have fun. It's you get to act in a group, but you don't have all of the uh, extra stuff about like blocking and costumes and all of that other
Yeah,
stuff.
it's a blast. It's such a blast. I mean, I remember there was an episode. I always think back to this one episode that I did of Batman Brave and the Bold, and um, so that was Dietrich Bader played Batman in that because that's
Yeah.
the one that was kind of the tongue-in-cheek kind of fun
Yeah,
Batman.
that was such an
But
underrated show. I loved it.
to my right was Kevin Michael Richardson, who is in everything. To my left was Tom Kinney, who's the voice of SpongeBob. He was Plastic Man in this episode. I think Will Friedle was there too, and it was just so fun that we're all together, just doing this episode. And I was really I was a little nervous. I had to say that was probably the most nervous I've ever been, but I calmed myself down.
Yeah, once it starts, it's like, well, it's either gonna go or it's not.
Yeah, and luckily it went.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But one of the things I do to psych myself up is if I get nervous like that, I'm like, well, look, if you're here in the room, you got booked to be
Yeah.
here. So I'm telling myself, like, you deserve to be here because they booked you here. So
That's a really good
get
mentality.
together, dude.
Uh, are you one of those people who clams up when you get nervous, or more like gets so? Because I get a super talky when I get nervous. Before the show on Sunday, I was apparently babbling a mile a minute.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'll get a little nervous before, but then once it starts, then I'm not nervous anymore.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah, totally.
I just have a little bit of nerves. beforehand.
Sweet. All right. Well, we have been going for about an hour. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us, Jason, and for being such a great guest and a great part of our game for so many years.
Yeah, I'm so proud. I mean, it's definitely one of the things I'm most proud of, being in Star Trek Online. Also, the very first convention I ever went to, my dad took me to it, because I begged him to, was a Star Trek convention. So, like, working on Star Trek in any capacity is a dream come true.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad we get to help people fulfill those kind of dreams. Yeah, I know you're doing the stream tonight, the charity stream tonight. Do you want to tell people where they can find out about that?
Yeah, so that is Yorkie-san, and like I was saying before, it's Adam Green's charity about to raise money for Yorkie rescues, and that's going to be. Let me get the exact address for that, just so I can give it to people. Do, 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 do. And yeah, like I was saying before, people don't think of that Yorkies need a rescue, but actually they do, because a lot of people, especially in LA, will like buy a Yorkie as a little accessory and then realize, oh, I have to take care of this thing, ew, and then abandon it or something.
God.
So they need money, and that's going to be at ariescope.com. That's going to they've got sort of their own. They run a podcast every week as well, a horror movie podcast.
Nice.
So that's just going to be, I'll put it right here in chat.
You may not be able to. Yep. How do you spell it?
Crap. ARIESCOPE.
Okay. I got you.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, we have links blocked because otherwise people could spam stuff, but I'm
But then
happy to share
normally,
it.
like, you can see my name there. I will be streaming on my own channel tomorrow night. I stream twice a week. I basically just grab my acoustic guitar right here, and I've got a list of over 300 songs, and people request them, and I just sit here, have fun, playing songs, either original songs or things that I've sung. Someone else mentioned Rules of Nature. I actually do an acoustic version of Rules of Nature. So, which is a
chat,
song that I sang.
Go there
from...
tomorrow and request Steel and Flame and the League of Swords theme. All right.
So yeah, I'm an active Twitch streamer, and then you'll find me on a lot of other streams too, because I'm an active TTRPG player and GM.
Nice. Yeah, you're on a lot of TTRPG streams, which is fabulous and so much fun. So if people want to find you on like socials or websites or anything, is there a place they can go?
Yeah, I mean, if you just remember my name, Jason Charles Miller, that's pretty much my name everywhere but Twitter, because my name's too long. So on Twitter, I'm Jason C. Miller.
Yeah.
But I also have jasoncharlesmiller.com, and that'll list when I'm playing shows. If you live in the LA area, I'm playing at the New Knitting Factory next month, January 14th.
Oh, hell yeah.
On Saturday. So, you'll have to come out to that. And and then if you're in Tokyo next week, come on out to the Eorzean Symphony.
Yeah, you're buying me a ticket for that, right? The flights and the hotels and everything. You're just gonna pick me up, right?
Yeah, all expenses paid.
Kidding.
I watched Pepsi Where's My Jet. I'm kidding. Have you seen that yet?
No.
Netflix. It's a great documentary called Pepsi Where's My Jet.
Oh, I've wanted to watch it, but I haven't watched it yet.
I just watched it. It's so fun.
Oh man,
it's so fun.
Awesome. All right, well, Jason, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much. And folks, we will be back next week with more excitement. But for right now, I am going to find us someone to raid while these snowmen are murdering me.
Do you usually raid another gamer, or do you like?
I try to raid somebody who's playing STO and doesn't have a lot of viewers, because it's always just fun to dump like 140 people or whatever on them.
Yeah, that's always great. I love doing that.
Let's see. Did I raid Klingon Pop Warrior 2 weeks ago? I think I did. Who's this guy? Is he talking? Okay, I don't think he's talking. I try to raid people who are actually like talking and engaging if I can.
Right. Yeah. No, good idea.
Do you usually end on a raid for your streams?
I do. I either raid friends, or I'll raid like other musicians that I haven't met yet, but like their streams to kind of
Nice.
keep the music going for people.
Wraith Shadow asks what the real question is: how does this man have the time to do all this stuff?
I don't know. You should see my Google Calendar is all I've got to say. It's just a lot of overlapping rectangles
Yeah.
in different colors.
All right. Cool. So we are heading out, folks. It has been a fabulous stream, and we will talk to you soon. Bye bye, everybody. Bye bye now.
Thanks so
Bye
much.
bye.